With that, we conclude with the Realty Plus co-working conclave, and we're going to be moving on to the design talks. Just allow us a moment, as we're going to be having our moderator joining in shortly, while as we get the stage set up for our next talk. Next up, of course, we're going to be having a great session. Just allow us a couple of minutes whilst as we have our session chair and, of course, all our esteemed panelists inside. We have it chaired by somebody from very well-renowned from Della Group. Of course, we've got a principal architect, ABM. We've got the co-founder, Pentaspace Design Studios. We've got a principal architect and designers group. We've got a senior associate architect, AHC architect, Hafeez, contractor, managing principal, executive director of Perkins, Eastman. So a lot of great panelists who are going to be joining us, and of course, just allow us a couple of minutes whilst as we get ready for our upcoming panel. Thank you. Until then, let's just wait for a while, and if we have any AV, we could play right now that. Thank you.
Some people are born to show the world which path to choose in a crisis. Some brands are born to do the same. And during the times of challenge, the stalwarts of Indian real estate industry have chosen to do just that by showing others the way to finding opportunities even amidst a crisis. By showing the world how to go about delivering on promises even amidst adversity. Success doesn't just happen, it happens by design, by pushing the boundaries, by raising the bar. It's days of creating a vision and nights of bringing it to life. Knowing that pictures are worth 1,000 words and every word makes a difference. It's doing the research, trusting your instinct and finishing it. For the past 19 years, Realty Plus has been turning obstacles into opportunities. Keeping the industry informed on the latest developments. Innovating to inspire debate and discussion. Bringing forth the perspectives of industry leaders. Honoring hard work and achievement. Keeping the industry connected.
So, well, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we present to you the Realty Plus INEX Conclave, which is co-partnered by Shyam Steel and Everest Industries Limited. Well, the design professionals will deliberate on new design strategies, changes, and the outlook for the coming years. The first session of the Realty Plus INEX Conclave will discuss the design trends 2023, traditional to technology. First up, it's an honor to now have our session chair, and I'd want more decorum in the room while as we invite him. Ladies and gentlemen, the first generation serial entrepreneur, designer, hotelier, adventurer, and a real estate developer, who's somebody who's set up 6 businesses across industries, commencing his entrepreneurial journey right from the age of 19. He set up 6 businesses across industries and conceptualized the much-renowned Della Leaders Club, which is known as TLC. We're talking about the very dynamic chairman and managing director, Della Group, none other than Jimmy Mistry. I wish, Mr. Mistry, there was a fanfare for you whilst as we welcomed you on the stage. Thank you so much for joining us on that. Next up, we've got somebody who's incorporated a unique amalgam of her roots Indian roots, as well as her contemporary education and her design style, aiming to synergize an Eastern cultural ethos with modern living. We're talking about the principal architect, ABM Aahana Pillar. Next up, we're talking about an innovator and a motivator to the team, somebody who leads conceptualization and project planning at Pentaspace. His vision and astute understanding of exterior and interior design concepts have earned him accolades in architectural excellence and several national awards. We're talking about the co-founder of Pentaspace Design Studio, Gaurav Sanghavi. Next up, we're talking about somebody who established his firm Designers Group in 1988. His work on Taj Hotels and Resorts IHCL project was a turning point of the firm, granting a directional focal point on hospitality and over a period of time, ladies and gentlemen, making it leading internationally acclaimed hospitality design firm in India. Well, their project, Devi Ratna, has recently been awarded as the World Architecture Award, and also they completed a project in the Fairfield by Marriott, which was established its very first branch in Mumbai, and of course, much more. But you have to cut that short and, of course, welcome the gentleman himself, the principal architect and designer, Designers Group, Khozema, Chitalwala. Thank you so much for joining us. Next up, an urbanist and an architect with more than 2 decades of experience, with a keen interest in building technologies and the use of innovative materials as well as energy conservation in architecture. He joined architect Hafeez Contractor in 1991, and some of the notable projects are the Noida City Centre, the Hiranani Office Park. We're talking about the ONGC in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, the IGI Terminal 1B in New Delhi, Turbe Railway Station, Green Building for ONGC, Dehradun, and much more. The Senior Associate Architect, AHC, which is Architect Hafeez Contractor, we've got Nilabh, Nagar joining us. Thank you, Nilabh. Next up, we've got somebody who's got more than 18 years of experience working in India and the UK. Somebody who has been instrumental in the growth and success of Perkins Eastman's Mumbai studio, brings in expertise in higher education and planning the projects with major clients. The Managing Principal Executive Director, Perkins Eastman, Supriya, Thyagarajan. Well, looking at the energy already on the stage, I'm sure the conversations have already begun. But of course, Mr. Mistry, over to you.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to all our guests over here. It always fills my heart to have any kind of discussion going on with our peer groups, and they're always meaningful discussions. It's our endeavor to make sure that there is a solid takeaway at the end of this talk, not only for the viewers, but for us sitting on the panel as well, because there's so much to learn. I just got to learn that Nilabh has been practicing with Hafeez since 91. So that's every day that makes you a legend for years, and Khozema says that I've been practicing for 35 years. Let's hear it for both of them. 35 years of practice deserves a round of applause. Yeah, it's a lifetime of work. So let us begin with the youngest member on the panel, Aahana, and I think the same question goes to all our panelists to get us very quickly into the moment, to understand tradition to technology. You've seen your parents practice, and you continuing in the same streak between design and art. What have you seen shift? What has been really the shift between traditional to what you would like to your design practice to be empowered with technology?
So I think the firm, where they started, it's been 50 years for my dad, so that's amazing also. Yeah. I mean, he talks about all his drawing boards and how it went. We have architects who are 70 plus to architects who are 21. So between that range of ages, there's a wide gap between, the technology. But I think it's a learning process for all of us, including me. I know I learned from our interns, we learned from our junior architects, and my dad in turn actually is quite open to embracing technology. So he's been learning a lot of the software from me.
Wow.
He has completely transformed the studio. He said, this software is amazing. Please learn it. And he's been taking a few classes on the weekend. I've been teaching him a little, so he understands what the power of technology is, and he encourages the studio to use it. But obviously, we've been working with our hands. My mother's a painter, so that's how I grew up. So we always go back to the drawing board, and but we don't forget, how to use our hands.
So to sum it up is you don't forget how to use your hands. So no matter how much amount of technology that you are exposed to, you still like to dirty your hands and bring it all in that zone. Yeah. Let's go over to the next lady across on our panel, Supriya. Supriya, we prepared questions for you.
Thanks.
Okay. How have you seen tradition move to technology, and how do you deploy technology? Give us some takeaways.
Right. So, like Aahana mentioned, there's been a big shift. Technology has been very useful for us in so many ways. So I'll give you examples where, as architects, we were in a position to bring to life what the clients are going to see maybe a year, 5 years, 10 years from then, and what that project is going to look like. And it's a very difficult process. How do you make sure that they fully understand the design? And a lot of client groups that I deal with are not, even used to reading drawings. So in that sense, technology has really helped us to put together visuals, to put together videos, to give them a sense of what that space is going to be. So that's been great. It has taken away a lot of manual labor away from us, which means drawings get done faster. We are able to use technology where we have Revit or BIM as a model where multiple consultants are able to coordinate and work together. But the fallout of that is, I think that expectation that design also gets done fast is always there. So while manual labor is taken away, drawing time is taken away, even on construction, we're seeing technology being used, but I think there is merit to slow thinking and slow designing, and I think that's where we are facing the challenge, that the expectation from client is, because there is technology, we will also design faster. And I think that's been the challenge.
That's fast food to fine dine, right?
Right.
Fine dine will always remain fine dine, and fast food will always be fast food.
Absolutely.
Both the things are possible. Both the things have their own merits, but we subscribe to a different one. Khozema, 35 years, you've seen a lot change across back-end and practice. We'll come on to projects later. So back-end and practice, tradition to technology. How do you deploy technology, or you're still stuck onto the traditional way? How do you want to embrace the new post-COVID scenario across for design practices?
So, to be honest enough, I see that we need to be part of the current wave. We need to embrace technology in our practices. It's a must. So I come from the similar era, like Ahan's father, Alphas comes from, and I have used drawing boards and T-squares and set squares. And I'm fortunate enough that in a couple of our sessions on our tours, I've been able to excite Alphas to embrace technology and understand that this is what you can do it. And he does really like it now. We are paperless. Our office has gone paperless. So we don't, no more we print any of those drawings and keep on reprinting and reprinting. So we are embracing green. We are trying to be, as far as possible, we have to use the technology in order to make the process smoother, faster. But design is design. You can't, thinking process, up till as an artificial intelligence comes in and starts thinking on your behalf, probably we are not required that day. We will be not required. So design has to be done manually. Today also what I love about my paperless working is that I yet use a square, scale and set square on my iPad. in order to do that. That is something which I like the most, because I'm not away from the traditional way of doing it, but I'm yet using a technology without paper, without doing things, and I'm yet transferring all the data, all my comments, all my designs, all my suggestions to my team, and it is going very, very smoothly.
So
It's a smooth process, very smooth process.
if you don't want to be passé and you want to stay ahead of the curve, that's what you need to do. Marry the two together is perhaps the takeaway from what Khozema spoke. Nilabh, Hafeez has been practicing for 40 years? More? Around?
This is 48.
48? 40th year. Yeah, 40th year. 40 years is, again, a lifetime. I think the only other contemporary whom I know of is Talati Pantaki, Noshe Talati, and who was before, a little before him. And still, the brand still holds as much value, even though it's separated. They've gone different ways. What have you seen change across in the method of design, apart from what they've already commented? And what new are you embracing? We were just discussing about the new museum project. So what kind of technology for design thinking, design processes are you deploying across in your organization?
I would say that we are still quite traditional. We love our paper, we love our tracing on the paper, and can't beat that feeling of a tracing paper on a paper. So, as far as embracing technology is concerned, the guy who's got technology back in his hands is Hafeez, who is so much a paper guy. This COVID made him come onto an iPad. So that's like a sea change for, that's like a great boon to all of us. Now we don't have to come to office to talk to him. He says, come on the iPad, I'll sketch on it. I said, damn good, man. Nothing like getting him on iPad was, I think, the best thing that happened to our office. And the convenience of it. The thing is that I remember in 96 or something, when we were all boards, and I kind of got the first computer in the office.
So what kind of technology for design thinking, design processes are you deploying across in your organization?
I would say that we are still quite traditional. We love our paper, we love our tracing on the paper, and can't beat that feeling of a tracing paper on a paper. So, as far as embracing technology is concerned, the guy who's got technology back in his hands is Hafeez, who is so much a paper guy. This COVID made him come onto an iPad. So that's like a sea change for, that's like a great boon to all of us. Now we don't have to come to office to talk to him. He says, come on the iPad, I'll sketch on it. I said, damn good, man. Nothing like getting him on iPad was, I think, the best thing that happened to our office. And the convenience of it. The thing is that I remember in 96 or something, when we were all boards, and I kind of got the first computer in the office. I was keen on getting computerized, the office computerized. So I bought the first computer, and we used to have a mama in our office. We used to go, Mama, computer, I want a computer. What is a computer? And the only thing you knew was that account section which was having one computer. So I said, and this can make a drawing. So I made a drawing, and then we realized that the first, I made a drawing and learned AutoCAD from the books. We used to get this thick book on AutoCAD, and then I learned AutoCAD. I think AutoCAD 8 it was. So I learned it, and I showed that I can take out a printer. It was dot matrix printer. Dot matrix printer came out. And then I showed him that I can copy that plan and make it another copy. You don't have to trace that plan all over again, He said, boss, this is great. This is great. You can copy, you don't have to, two people can work, one person can do. And takes, in the same A0 size table, I can fit 2 people. So that I can increase my office numbers. I can get more production out. So then we started computerizing. From that point onwards, it became, then we kind of computerized the whole office completely. And it was a thing. But still, printouts came out. We still drew out. All the seniors still drew on the line. But till this COVID happened. And after COVID, it's become a kind of a sea change where we kind of now, all of us are sketching on the thing. I think it's been a great journey.
So let me share something with you. I distinctly remember 96, 97 coming to Hafeez's office with Rajiv. We were doing Star TV and looking at Hafeez's work from the window. I guess it's nostalgic, but what you said is absolutely right. I have seen the computers grow across in the office in those days and was privy to it. A lot has changed now. So, Gaurav, what is your take on it in terms of design practice? You don't have a legacy of 40 years behind, and you started how many years back?
15.
15 years back. 15 years is not bad. It's quite recent and relevant. So you're already ahead of the curve. How are you planning to take your design practice to the next level?
So, ours is a very young practice, and everybody in our studio, like about 30 of us, are below the age of 30, right? So the average age is way down, and they are very tech savvy. So, in fact, I am the guy who's more obsolete because I still believe in conceptualizing on paper, and I'm still from that traditional sort of thought process. So I'm actually teaching them how to come on to tracing and draw concepts, and they are teaching me how to adapt to technology. So as Nilabh rightly said, that in COVID, even we got hooked onto the iPad and the pencil and try to start sketching on that. But I still feel that the touch of the pencil on the tracing and the smell of the charcoal is something which it gives you that certain feeling of design which I still don't seem to replicate, I think, with the iPad. I don't know why. So I think I'm just teaching them that, and they're teaching me how to embrace technology. So I think I've given them full freedom to adopt any software, and they just show me the demo, and I just say that, okay, if this is going to help us, let's move it, let's go ahead with that in the studio. So I think it's more like a osmosis between tradition and technology, right. And not like saying this is good or this is bad, but like get the best of both and move ahead.
JP, can I add to it? See, the point is that I yet can't draft on AutoCAD or Revit or anything, but I understand the software. Today also I do what I used to do 30 years back also. That is sketching. And I do it only on iPad. That's the only difference. My medium is iPad.
So it's interesting, almost 50-50, whatever we've spoken. Let me share with you what we do at Della. We are on one side, we are on the cutting edge of technology, and because DLC is a technology platform, but Della design practice, I can't work without paper. I need inspirations in front of me and I've seen people across the world at the highest level of design. I've been in Thomas Heatherwick's studio, we've worked over there, been to the headquarters of Yadro in Valencia, Spain, spent 3 days with the chief designers of Yadro. Every inspiration comes out on paper, and that's one thing that I can never understand as to how digitally somebody can get inspiration, one, but when it comes to 50 and then kind of synthesizing between the 50 and kind of creating 5 that you want to follow, it cannot happen digitally unless and until you pull it out on paper. It can happen because it's only one image at a time. And we keep having this kind of tussle in our office at all times because I want things on paper, and the new generation people look at me and say like, dude, it's best this guy takes a step back. That's great. We discussed about the design practice. In one word, anything to do with the latest softwares within the office? Is there just one word? What is it that you're deploying latest?
So Revit.
Revit, yeah.
Definitely. And BRIM 360, because that's a platform everyone's working on.
So a lot of design practices have taken up Revit and they use it on large projects fantastically. A lot of small practices have kind of discarded Revit and moved back to the LT version.
But I think one of the biggest advantages we are seeing, especially on assets, which are going to be managed later, is pushing that BIM model into facilities management. Yeah. And I think that's where
FM can benefit, a lot of manufacturing can benefit, order taking can benefit. I agree. One word?
We are doing interiors on BIM.
Wow. Interesting. That's nice. We should have a discussion with Vivek. Vivek would have kind of led this discussion right from the front.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think we're a little bit past Revit. Now we're looking at Lumion. We're looking at Twin Motion. Yesterday we downloaded the software and it's covering. So we're already on board with Revit. Now moving on to
what does Twin Motion do?
It does walkthroughs, it does live animation.
Lovely. And does the rendering as well? You use a Rhino or something?
For Lumion is better for rendering.
Okay. Lovely. Nilabh, at your place?
I would say right now I'm experimenting with Rhino and Grasshopper because not more for the facade or the, let's say, the more complex shapes, but I am trying to explore right now the idea that as a software, Rhino and this thing has a capability to give you real-time feedback you can actually program it in a manner by which you can do a carpet built-up ratios and everything else coming out live. In the sense, we've not cracked it yet, but when I speak to some of the people, because that's one of the first questions that any client asks. What is the carpet area? What is carpet area to built-up area ratio? So that's an ongoing question in our office throughout, and it starts at 6:30 in the evening and goes till 9:30. Unless you answer, it doesn't go out.
And you specialize in that.
so instead of what you do, you go back, calculate it on a CAD, come back, put a P-line, put a dot, then the P-line comes and all that. I want to make it a little bit more real time, so you can only sketch and decide. So we've not got either, but that's what we are trying, yeah.
I thought Rhino and Grasshopper was predominantly used by studios and motion graphics and rendering.
No, it can do something else. That though is there.
Yeah.
So that's been there, but if you kind of program it, it can do the other one.
Lovely.
Yeah.
What about you?
So we're also just Lumion and VR is something which we are exploring at this point, because I'm also into building, so trying to give a more holistic feel to the client.
Okay.
So VR is something which we are exploring just now in the studio.
Interesting. So we've discussed about studios and back-end practice and what's cutting edge, what the leading practices of India are doing right now. We would like to now share about what is it that's moved traditional to technology-wise on projects. So let's discuss about something like SAM 100. Let's discuss 3D printing technologies, auto bricklaying. Do we see this happening in India, or do we see it near future, or do we see it never happening because the amount of manpower and the median age in India growing from 29 or 32, wherever it is, next we still have a huge amount of manpower compared to the rest of the world. So let's start with the lady on the left. What do you think is happening? Are you deploying any kind of automation at the project?
Not in India.
Not in India.
In fact, this has been one of the questions that we've been constantly asking. Every other industry has been able to use technology to automate a lot of processes, and construction is still done by hand. And I think we are so far behind when it comes to construction and on-site construction.
Khozema, in terms of technology, deployment of polystyrene, deployment of pre-molds, deployment of for glass resins, there's a whole lot more that's happening across. So any of your projects, you're deploying any cutting-edge technologies?
So I think so. Let me ask the earlier one which you asked her. हम लोग बड़ी मुश्किल से pre-engineered building में पहुँचे हैं आज. We are in pre-engineered building यार.
अभी भी कितने का कितने में और कब?
वो बोलता है, अभी भी बोलता है, pre-engineered बोलेगा, अरे सर महंगा पड़ेगा. He doesn't understand the value of the time. So that is there. Yes, we are doing some work in some project in Hills where we are finding it very challenging to create those precast, and loading is there. There is an existing building where facades of polystyrene and other things we are trying to use that. But that's to a very limited extent because availability of the suppliers, the vendors, the right craftsmanship is not yet there in India.
It's limited. It's in a infancy, nascent stage.
Very nascent stage. Very nascent.
Yeah, but India, like everything else, this is my take on it. Like in telecommunication, we leapfrogged. India has inherited DNA to leapfrog.
Yes,
Wherever you've been left very far behind, you leapfrog and come to a point where you're not only futuristic and cutting edge, but you beat the shit out of the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
So that's what
was done in the sense that we, of course, had Larsen Toubro were the contractors, and in one of our mass housing schemes in New Bombay, they had already set up a factory where the precast panels were happening. And this was not the first building, let's be clear. We already finished about 8 or 10 buildings. So this particular building, we took up a challenge. They said, if we have now got a streamlined process of elements being cast and being erected and everything else, and it's all about now becoming a time management. So since the entire project had already been done in BIM, you already had a 5D BIM kind of thing, which kind of kicks in, because that's what we are deploying even at the metro stations in Pune. The 15 metro stations also on 5D BIM. So at a real time, kind of monitoring the whole system of procurement to the coming to the site, the way it was happening. So here what they did was that they lined up like a factory, they lined up the panels coming out, and there were 4, 5, 6 cranes which kind of picked it up and this thing. So the idea was that each housing unit is made out of 4 panels. So the L-shaped panel came in and clicked, fitted one on top of another. So one building which has got 8 flats of floor got about, say, 25 elements which came up. So it's a matter of picking up the size of the crane and everything else. So we could place that. And then it's about, because tiling is something still one has to do manually. So by the time you finish your 4th level, your tiling guys have come in, your plumbing guys have come in and all that. Now, what Hafeez and we and L&T were discussing were that if you could kind of make the flooring as part of pre-finish the flooring itself, so you don't have to send up another set, so the entire panel picked up. That's something which I had earlier explored in one of my other projects, where we could kind of make the whole building up, down there, and then stamp jack the whole building up onto the space upstairs also. So that way, and the challenge, of course, precast is, of course, that ultimately is all about joints. So, but that I think the technology has come about to is fairly advanced, so you don't have that fear of leakage or anything else.
The shotcrete,
that was
the skin and the cladding.
All that thing happens, and so fortunately also the lifting capacities also helped the fact that you could effectively do one living room, one bedroom, one everything as one slab. So you don't have to even actually, earlier the thing was you could do it, you had to do it in 4 slabs and all that. That also has now been eliminated. So I would say that technology has definitely helped a lot in this thing. It just has to scale up. There are a couple of factories, one out of Bangalore, one I think L&T is still trying to make one. And they've also now got one of the best 3D printers into the country now. Yeah. So now I think in the probably in another 4 months we'll be 3D printing one guard house there. Okay. Yeah, so let's see if that comes up. Then
the 3D printing at the Bangalore International Airport.
Yeah.
That's the one that's the largest in India. What about you?
Nothing specific in terms of, because I'm still trying to get all my guys to get into my one yet. So it's I think it's still a long way back.
But the glass fiber shuttering is next in line after my one. It's already available in India now. I know somebody who's bringing it in, apart from the SS. We are working, so I've been dabbling with technology, and that sort of ticks me. We tried to bring the first polystyrene construction into India. That was, I think, in 2005 or 6. I did a presentation of 4 to Subriya Saharar for bringing in, at Ambi Valley, 100 villas together in polystyrene. Set up a plant over there. I went and checked out the plant in Austria, the Italian suppliers. Unfortunately, the mindset has been never to do anything other than tradition. Absolutely. Because any new technologies, we are quite averse to it when it comes to our makan or our buildings and our offices. People want rock solid construction. So that's a mindset change. But now the way technology is evolving in India, and in bits and pieces people are working, but a combination of the 3 put together is what is really being deployable in India, where you do the frame structure in tradition. You use precast across, you use polystyrene, and you use multiple other technologies across to fit it, including 3D printing and finishing. So a lot is going to change. I presume in the next couple of years, a lot is going to change, especially once there's a project that can demonstrate the time saved and the quality in which happened and the precision with which it happened, minus all the problems of precast. I think then things will really leapfrog. Adaptation is very quick and instant in India. Everybody, we have got a herd mentality. Ek bar ek bakra bhed aage gaya, so everybody moves together. And that's what I'm waiting for in construction technology to happen in India. So we've discussed construction. Let's throw some light across on interiors. You guys do interiors, right? In your practice?
Not.
Okay, so let's start with her. She does interiors. And a lot of it. Share some of your projects with the rest of the people here. Okay, what's changed in terms of the world of interiors? We are all talking green, we are all talking sustainable, we are very conscious about the carbon footprint. How is your design practice within the DNA of the organization look forward to doing and implementing projects like these?
So for us, it was never about sustainability, but more about sensible design. So that's what my dad has always spoken about, and that's what we carry forward. So we don't like to throw terms like sustainability or green. I mean, we look at the project holistically. We look at, what he knows. He has this immense body of knowledge. So I take what he knows and what I can bring to the table as well. And we have a lot of clients also moving forward in terms of interiors. Materials, there are so many, we can't keep up with, the new things coming. But in our interiors, we like to experiment. Since we don't do too many architectural projects, we can't do these precast projects. And So I think there's so much room to explore, and I mean, my dad's open to it. So going forward, I think there's so much scope, and we can do a lot more.
Lovely. What about you?
So I would agree one thing with it. Sensible design is always sustainable. Most of the time it is sustainable.
But
but-
common sense is the most uncommon thing in the world, right? Go ahead.
So there is another quote which I always quote is being simple is most difficult.
Very difficult.
Very, very difficult. So, for example, when we are talking about technology and all those things, we are trying to bring in earth ram walls and those kind of things also, mud block architecture, which is becoming more and more part of the design in terms of interior as well as architecture. So working cohesively with as a team, with architecture team and the interior team is very, very important. I think so that is one area where we should all be focused about that, and we should work as a project rather than taking the picture ahead as this is my picture and this is our picture kind of a thing.
I agree. That's why when I was asking her the question, I used the terminology sustainability within the DNA of the organization, and it all emits from empathy. So, what about you? How do you approach interiors and materials, finishes, not just sustainability, but overall technology to be deployed within interiors? A lot is changing within interiors. Traditionally, what we used to do to today, there's a drastic change for designers who adopted to it.
Yes.
For certain design practices have remained passé and they are going to be completely gone into oblivion tomorrow.
I mean, a lot of 3D printing, a lot of, testing materials out digitally, a lot of machine use for cutting of materials, or, lots of that is getting used across all our hospitality projects, all our, projects also, like a lot of projects that have a very high maintenance issue, right? So how do we sort of bring in materials that are going to last the test of time? So using some of those, and like Aahana said, there's so many materials right now, and but I think sustainability in the sense that the focus has been, can we build less to
Less
do
is more.
more, right?
I get it.
Everybody knows, like construction industry is contributing to 40% of carbon emissions, so how do we constantly build? And this has been
40% of carbon emission, but 20% of manpower being absorbed.
Yeah, and it's crazy because every time we speak to the client, our effort is how do we make spaces, interiors flexible for multi-use,
Right.
so that you don't build too much real estate. How do we make sure that they are using less real estate to do more? I think that's where we are focusing.
Kind of optimal design.
Yeah.
Nilabh, according to you, in terms of all the building inside finishes, is there any drastic shift in technology?
Yes, very much so. When we remember when you came for the project, that time we were having so many carpenters and this thing at site. But today, I see a whole lot of this new generation contractors who have come in. They're doing a fair amount of work in the factory, and you come and fit. I mean, I was surprised that day, this hotel which we did at Taj at Santa Cruz, whole lot of this paneling and all that, which I'm sure Khozema also knows that. Earlier we used to have these guys coming in, all the rooms you got 15 people. Nowadays you don't have that. Everything comes neat,
Pre-fitted and pre-finished.
and they just come and fit it, which is I think is amazing, because even veneer paneling, even things, carpets and all that are always there. But this is what I'm quite surprised, and it's good. First, when I heard there was, like, say, Depa came in from Dubai, and they said Lindner came in from Germany when we were doing the airport, and then they said, okay, this whole airport is modular, and we will fabricate this whole airport out there. And that time when I was doing Delhi, I remember we had this one Dutch company, one German company, and they said, okay, we've got this everything prefab for the airport. But of course, that time nobody wanted to get at that cost, so we still did a whole lot of things at the site. But I realized when I was speaking to them that the world had done that, and I was always just to wonder. And then we hired a guy out of Dubai, and he came and he was surprised. You still have carpenters at site? I said, yeah, we still have it. But then he said, but then now, 10 years later, I find that it's not there anymore. I mean, I'm quite happy that these things happened.
So, Jimmy, surprisingly, you will find that today when we are delivering drawings, our drawings on Beam, it's a real-time drawing. So, they are virtually, the contractors have learned how to use that drawing set, which is updated, commented by them on the site, updated by office without even exchange of paper. It comes to their iPad and they are there. So everything has become so seamless, and I think so technology is helping them. And I believe gen contractors, next gen contractors are going to be much more smarter than what we are seeing.
All the architects and designers will be replaced off.
No. See, that would not be, that is a question which we'll see
What happens?
what happens
Later. So, for me, I've been fighting this battle ever since. Most of the design practices are really, I'm not saying most, I'm not saying anybody in particular, really insensitive towards the environment and design. I've been fighting this cause for acid cure, which is melamine. Unfortunately, melamine is still even today openly sold in the market. Qualified designers and architectural practices are still using melamine in government contracts, PWD, so many private companies, organizations, so many furniture showrooms. Acid cure is nothing but a carcinogen, releases urea formaldehyde, releases in the air and atmosphere, and keeps curing for the next couple of years. Not, people used to say initially 2 years. Now statistics prove much longer than that, and they're breathing that. And so if design practices do not arm themselves and upgrade their technical knowledge and skill set, they would not. Even today, solvent-based polyurethanes are in use completely, including a lot of resistance internally in my own organization, my own factory. We are using solvent-based, whereas water-based technologies have been available and prevalent for years and years. The first time I had imported water-based polyurethanes was way back, I think, in 98 or 99. So technologies are available, but adaptation will not happen unless and until the boja goes on to the designer or the architect's conscience of actually utilizing a product that's going to cause harm to the environment. Till the time this shift doesn't happen, that's why I keep referring to the DNA and empathy. Till the time you don't feel guilty about using a product that's going to be harmful to the environment and the people and the occupants of the project you've designed, the whole onus and responsibility is on the shoulders of the designer. So this is my take on it. Anyway, we are just done with our time. I'm sure we've bored the daylights out of you guys because all of you are so silent and quiet. Right? Can we at least hear a round of applause for our panelists on stage? If I know we are out of time and the next panel is here, but I think it's only fair to throw the floor open to 1 or 2 questions. If at all somebody wishes to ask, sure. There's a gentleman there. Thank God somebody's awake. Can we have the mic there, please? Yeah, you're audible, but I think if the lady provides a mic. Okay, please go on.
My question would be on the AI.
Right.
Yeah. So, I was expecting something to be discussed on the AI because that's the trend that's probably is going to be very competitive. A machine that is going
Chat
to do...
GPT, yeah. It's going to take over the design practice.
There is a Dell
or the alternate version.
Dell E.
The third competition in India is the contractors.
So when in 2 years down the line, when this AI is going to become smarter and we just need to throw out what we want and it's going to get the designs for us, with more intelligence added to what a human could do, how are you looking at this scenario? Is it something that is a competition or a scary thing? Or because we as a contractor or probably we as a somebody who would develop it, we would directly go to a Dell E rather than this kind of a solution, man-made solution.
Sure. So I'll give you my response, and my panelists are free to give the response as well. My take on it is we are doing certain amount of exercise with the new AI versions available within our production business and content scripting, and it's yielding wonderful results. They showed me my CV across of what chat thinks of it should be. It's amazing results. Deploying it for design is going to be another practice. I personally feel, and this is my take on it, the design is here. So no amount of technology is going to be able to think on your behalf, but engineering is not here. So the differentiating factor between design and engineering side of design. Engineering side of design can be taken over by technology. Conceptualization, inspiration still remains to be yours. And how you deploy it, and then let technology do the needful. So a lot of jobs will be realigned within our design practices. A lot of automation can happen. RCPs can be prepared. You do single layer and multiple layers from there on. Design ideation and initiation has to happen within the human mind. This is my take on it. I might be in for a root shock. We do not know. Nobody in the world knows, including Elon Musk. Everybody is wary of it, right? But I think it's only in the best interest that you adopt to this technology rather than get scared of it. Technology is not something, technology is supposed to be helping you, not harming you. And that's my take on it. But very, very gung-ho about it. And a lot of disruption within the world is going to happen in the next 12 to 14 months or 15 months that people are predicting. If anybody else would like to add to it.
Can I give a very, one humorous answer? Today our practices are run by Pinterest. Lot of practices. Tomorrow when AI comes, they are going to use our practice and Pinterest both together, so the results are going to be, but ultimately they will have to use our practice to make the new output out of it. They will have to put that reference point because it itself does not have, it is going to do only permutation combinations. It will put the algorithm and I'm going to say that this light instead of straight, I can do horizontal, I can do so many options out of it. But this is something which is going to happen in future also. What do you think?
The artistic side of design and the engineering side of design. Engineering side of design is out for a whole outright disruption. Artistic side of design can never be taken over by anybody because they're not bruise in your head. Right. And that's where I remain firm on it. Yeah. But I agree with you. I guess that was a nice question. And I wanted to talk about chat and see how design practices are deploying it, and can a lighting design come out of it, can MEP design come out of it. A lot of these things can come out automated. So like I said, engineering is in for a root shock and disruption completely. I guess we are out of time, and it's been a great session. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to us as much as we've enjoyed sharing our knowledge on this dais with you all. Thank you, and thanks to the organizers for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a big, big round of applause. And with that, if I may request the editor, Realty Plus, Sapna Srivastava, to kindly join us. And of course, starting with felicitating Jimmy. Jimmy, thank you so much. We'd request you to please step forward. Starting with the session chair is always a great way to thank. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, a big, big round of applause. Post that, Aahana. Aahana, thank you so much for your valuable time and expertise on the panel. Jimmy, you stay around on the stage as we'll need a group photograph as well. Aahana, thank you so much. Gaurav, thank you for your expertise. Requesting you to please join us in the center along with Sapna. Khozema, thank you so much for your valuable time and expertise on the panel today. Thank you, Nilabh, for joining us and being a part of our panel. Thank you so much, Supriya. I think, Nilabh, they want you with one more photo. Yeah. Thank you so much, Supriya, for joining us on this panel. And requesting our entire panel to please come in the center along with Sapna. Let's have a great group photograph, please, if you may step in the center. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make a lot of noise with our applause. An excellent panel curated by Mr. Mistry. Thank you so much. And once again, a big thank you to all our esteemed panelists.